Hello and welcome to tonight's community outreach meeting. I'm Quinn Heath, the moderator for tonight. This community outreach meeting is being held on August 30th for Greater Goods LLC, a proposed adult use marijuana micro-business establishment. This establishment is proposed to be located at 445 Miles Standish Road, Taunton, Massachusetts, with the zip code 02780. We have with us representatives from Greater Goods, including Adam Burns and Jordan Shaw, as well as attorney Blake Mensing from the Mensing Group. We'll open with a short presentation on the proposed establishment and follow that up for an opportunity for community engagement if anyone joins the call by that point. So with that, I'll open the floor and turn it over to Blake.
Thank you, Quinn. So good evening, all. This meeting is a community outreach meeting intended to satisfy the Cannabis Control Commission in terms of the progress towards actually applying for state licensure. So as Quinn mentioned, this is a proposed adult use cannabis micro business proposed for 445 Miles Standish Road in Taunton. That will include a co-located tier 1 cultivation, which means up to 5,000 square feet of canopy, as well as a co-located manufacturing operation, all housed under a singular micro business license. So the first topic that the Cannabis Control Commission regulations dictate that we cover has to do with how we're going to maintain this facility securely. And essentially what you have to do as a licensee is abide by the regulations found at 935 CMR 500.110. That is a to-do list and a laundry list of things you must do in terms of maintaining security, from as simple a thing as requiring commercial grade locks, requiring signage for limited access areas where only certain members of the entity's hierarchy may enter. The chief example of that would be the product vault, where the stored finished product would be, basically preparing for a shipment to another licensed cannabis establishment in the state, as well as requiring full 1080p camera coverage over every single room, both inside and outside. The only portions in the facility that won't be under camera 24/7, 365 is bathrooms and changing rooms for obvious privacy reasons. That footage must be stored for a minimum of 90 days. Each frame of that footage must be freezable and have an irremovable watermark with a date and time and location stamp. So anyone examining that footage will be able to tell where it was. And similarly, there are a couple mechanisms by which you can judge where certain employees went within a facility. So whether that's a unique alphanumeric pin pad, biometrics, a thumbprint or an eye scan, or even just a simple RFID card, there will be a log of who went into which portion of the facility. So that's the main function. And that actually is a good springboard to the next topic the Cannabis Control Commission regulations require we cover, and that is a plan to prevent diversion to minors. The first line of defense in that plan is that if you're under, in this context, a minor is anyone under 21. If you're under 21, you may not enter this facility. No ifs, ands, or buts. So there's no bring your kid to work day. And there's a sort of unique situation where a police officer, if he or she was, happened to be 20 years old and said, "Let me in, I've got this badge," the answer is no, sorry, you're not allowed in. So yeah, it's an incredibly strict policy. And this is not a public facing facility. This is a B2B license only. The only eligible customers these folks will have for the time being is anyone else with a cannabis license within the state of Massachusetts. So you can't just go up and say, "Hi, I'd like a tour." You need a specific reason to be in the facility, whether you're a local inspector, state inspector, police, fire, board of health, that kind of thing, or someone there on actual business to take a look at the wares or what have you. So yeah, it's not going to be sort of public facing, not a lot of foot traffic, if any, because again, you have to have a specific reason for being there. And then every visitor, whether they're an agent at some other facility, an inspector, et cetera, that has to be included in a visitor log. And there are record keeping requirements on how long you maintain that, which the commission can request at any time. The next required topic has to do with a positive impact to the community. That has sort of two meanings in this regulatory context. There's what's known as a positive impact plan, capital letters, under the state. That is something that every single licensee in the state must draft and submit for licensure. And what that is intended to do, the positive impact plan with the capital letters there, is to benefit one of the 29 areas of disproportionate impact where the state ran the numbers and said, okay, Caucasian people and people of color consume cannabis at almost identical rates. And people of color are facing more frequent interactions with the law, harsher sentencing, And I believe the ACLU statistic is that a person of color is 3.7 times more likely to have a cannabis conviction than a white person, basically. So yeah, what the state has said is let's try to undo some of the wrongs of the failed drug war and give back to people in those communities. So greater goods inherent in the name itself. They're looking to actually do good in the community. And the first step on that positive impact plan would be to make an annual donation to a nonprofit charity called the New England's Veterans Alliance. That entity, as that name implies, is intended to benefit veterans in one of those 29 areas of disproportionate impact. And I believe Taunton may be one of them. But don't quote me on that one. I'm pretty sure it is. But in any event, yeah, the folks who are veterans who fit in that geographic area or who might have some other sort of low-level run-in with the law in terms of cannabis, that nonprofit does a whole lot of educational events up to and including cultivation events for cannabis sort of participants that aren't able to mention it because of the federal prohibition. Obviously, any veteran who went to the Veterans Affairs Hospital would have a little bit of trouble sort of being all the way open about their cannabis usage. So yeah, that's one sort of angle that this entity is trying to help folks. The other one is closer to home, literally. That's called Homes for Our Troops. And that involves building custom homes for severely injured and sort of service disabled post 9/11 veterans. So clearly there's an intent to help people from that community, which is the son of a veteran, I find to be a great thing to do and makes me happy to represent these folks. So yeah, and there's also going to be an opportunity for a dialogue about where charitable dollars or volunteer hours might do the most good in Taunton. So I know both Adam and Jordan are ready to hear those suggestions if anyone has them. And that's, for anyone who happens to view this video later, I'm sure they'd be willing to entertain doing some good. The final thing that the Cannabis Control Commission regulations dictate that we cover has to do essentially with a plan to avoid becoming a nuisance, as that term is defined by law. So the thing I always say for that is any state license, any local permit, any host community agreement, none of those is a license to be a bad neighbor. So not one of those would do them a darn bit of good in court if someone were to sue them in a private right of nuisance. And the chief sort of culprits of possible nuisances really aren't going to be much of a risk here just because of the scope and scale of this facility. As the license name implies there, it's a micro business, right? It's literally the smallest tier of cultivation you can have. And the building itself is 12,000 square feet, but they're still limited to that 5,000 square feet of canopy. And for context, a tier 11, which is the largest, is 100,000 square feet. So it's 5% as big as it possibly could. And that means the sort of risk of odor, which is the chief nuisance culprit for cultivation, is pretty minimal because comparatively speaking, it's not as many plants as one of the bigger facilities would have. Similarly, there's an inherent incentive for a cultivator to ensure that smell is not escaping from their facility, because if smell is escaping, that means they haven't buttoned up the building envelope or the grow rooms within the building to a degree to keep pathogens and pests and microbes out. So if you have a stinky grow facility, that means air is coming in and out, and that is too high risk for people cultivating a crop of this high value. In addition to sort of the inherent business reason to keep it in there, as I said, Jordan and Adam want to come in and be good neighbors, so there's no incentive for them to work this hard, spend this amount of money to get licensed and then just decide to be bad neighbors. It will bite them. It won't. It's not a get out of jail free card, as I said. And then similarly, there's just sort of technological strategies you can throw at an odor problem, from carbon filtration in the HVAC system, sort of reverse or negative air pressure in the room, so air isn't flowing out every single time you open a grow room. And yeah, all of that is strictly regulated by the commission. Odor control is usually included as a special condition of any special permit, and we'll be going through the local permitting process in the near future here. Other than that, I can't really imagine another type of nuisance that could come from a facility of this size. Traffic and parking, that'll all be covered in the special permit process. And as I said, there's not going to be customers at the door. It's just going to be wholesale deliveries occurring, certainly not every day, but periodically. And really the impacts from this facility should be completely indistinguishable from any other industrial use. And 445 Miles Standish Road is in the industrial area that Taunton allows. So with that, I have covered literally everything the Cannabis Control Commission requires. And I think Adam and Jordan just want to take a quick couple seconds to introduce themselves so those in TV land can hear from them directly.
Thanks so much, Blake. Again, just going to be a couple seconds. My name is Adam Burns. I am one half of the ownership for Greater Goods. And I'd like to thank Blake and Quinn for being here this evening. I'm going to turn it over to my business partner.
And I'm Jordan Shaw, the other half. And I'd also like to thank you guys for helping out with this. I grew up locally here, and I look forward to working with the community. I'm in charge of managing the operations as we go through it, managing cultivation and sales. And I look forward to a great start.
All right. And with that, I can confirm that we don't have anyone in attendance right now, so we will skip the public comment section and close out this community outreach meeting. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.